Hi everyone, I'm in front of you to talk about why death penalty should be abolished. Teenagers are supposed to live freely and experience a lot of things in life, like accomplish their goals, find their perfect partner in life, become rich, and more other things that make them happy. But how can a teenager experience those things if one small crime that they have committed for a reason or now will come to an end? According to death penalty, Amnesty International, some countries execute people who were under 18 years old. When the crime was committed, others use the death penalty against people with mental and intellectual disabilities, and several others apply the death penalty after trials in a clear violation of international law and standards. Imagine a world of full of killings. What are you going to do? The death penalty should be abolished because it won't help to reduce the crime. The death penalty is not criminal justice that will serve public safety. The death penalty violates the Constitution. And lastly, the death penalty don't specify a lack of sympathy for murder victims. First, one of my main points was that death penalty won't reduce crime. As we all know, crime is all over the world and we can avoid it. Some people believe that the death penalty will aid the high rate of crime or it will reduce the percentage of people who will commit or already committed a crime. But on the other hand, death penalty is not a solution or any effective punishment to reduce crime. According to Death Penalty Information Center, the report examined murder rates in 11 countries that have abolished capital punishment, finding that 10 of those countries experienced a decline in murder rates in the decade following abolition. Because of that, it just proved that death penalty is just not contributed as a murder or crime that makes the percentage higher. And for the second main point is like the death penalty is not a criminal justice that will serve public safety. Public safety is the most important thing in a person's life when they're out of their houses or going to somewhere because they can be secured that no one will attack them or will commit a crime on them. That's why people should not be peaceful because there's a justice system like that penalty. Because according to the website of RetinaJustNebraska.com, very few very few consider the consequences of their action and believe they will never be caught. I have never met a criminal who expected to be caught or was deterred by the slight possibility he will be sentenced to death instead of spending the rest of his life in prison. It means that a person who committed a crime doesn't think that they will be caught or they will be even sentenced to a death penalty for what they did because what they think is if they caught they will end up in prison. That's why there are still people who disobey the law. My third main point is like the death penalty violating the constitution. It will be quick because the death penalty is not appropriate to implement as a law because according to American Civil Liberties Union, capital punishment is an intolerable denial of liberties and it consistent with the fundamental values of our democratic system. Also, because of the barbaric and brutal act it violates the Eighth Amendment that serve as a cruel and inhuman, unusual punishment should not be inflicted. And lastly, for my main point, is the death penalty doesn't specify a lack of sympathy for murder victims. Because all we know, everyone's life is precious, that we should respect it no matter what it is. Therefore, even though the victims don't tolerate avenging their loved ones that have been murdered or etc. by killing them, and according to American Civil Liberties Union, it epitomizes the tragic inefficacy and brutality of violence rather than reason as the solution to difficult social problems. Many murder victims do not support state-sponsored violence to avenge the death of their loved ones. So basically, the world is full of life and we don't want to end it because everyone is equal. And ready for a change by ending the death penalty will save a lot of life in this world, especially the teenagers who have a lot of potential to change. The death penalty won't make any difference by reducing a crime. It won't give public safety, It is just violate the Constitution. And lastly, the death penalty doesn't specify a lack of sympathy for murder victims. That's why the death penalty the death penalty should be abolished. It doesn't make the world better. Instead, it just make it worse. So just to remind you, everyone, we're all the same, and returning violence for violence, multiple violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of start by Martin Luther the King.